Support.
The maestro, please!
You gotta love how nice the days are getting over here and how badly it's affecting my allergies. This'll be for the week of
June 11th, 2019.
On this day in music back in 1923, the arguably first country hit was ever recorded, The Little Old Log Cabin in the Lane, performed by Fiddlin' John Carson. If there's any video game soundtrack that should be popping up in the classical charts, it is indeed from the Final Fantasy series. There is literally a 13-minute operetta on this album. And on the other side of the classical spectrum, we have these ambient solo piano works. And while it might not be the most interesting thing in the world if you're actively listening to it, I'm sure you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it if you passively listen to it.
Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
As far as smooth jazz goes, it's actually nice to hear a trumpet as opposed to the much more common saxophone. I think my favorite thing about this, though, is her actual trumpet. Yes, it's pink and has a heart-shaped bell. There is most certainly a message being put forth by this album, and if you're about that message, you'll very much enjoy the music, but if you're not about that message, well, I'll encourage you even more heavily to listen to this album.
Why don't you do right? Thanks for nothing, man, do. Why don't you do?
For someone who only got 6th place on American Idol, he does seem to be doing very well for himself. This is his second solo album that we're actually talking about on this show, but the third time in total because he frequently performs with Postmodern Jukebox and indeed tours with them as well. Regardless, I always enjoy the work he does because he's a very talented singer and a very talented bass player.
Singing,
I love rock and roll!
I'm a Rocketman. Rocketman, burning out this fusion parallel.
So yes, Taron Egerton is not Elton John, but he gets really close, and honestly, I think he should be praised for that. His portrayal of Elton John, even in just the soundtrack, is pretty solid. Most importantly, though, the last track on this album is actually a duet between Taron Egerton and Elton John, with a new song that Elton John wrote specifically for the movie. Despite all of this new music, nothing new in R&B or hip-hop. Go figure.
More than lovers, we could be more than just part-time lovers. Can you hear me, SOS?
Everyone's been waiting for this one for obvious reasons, and while it's great that we get some new Avicii music, it's extremely bittersweet. Regardless, I do encourage you to go buy this album. All profits made go to the Tim Bergling Foundation, which raises awareness about mental health.
you said I never regretted the day that I called you mine, so I call you
Not gonna mess it up this time. They're doing the same thing with World War Joy that they did with the Sick Boy collection. Basically, they're going to re-release World War Joy as an EP, but have a new song on it each time until the entire thing is released. We'll talk about it anytime it recharts because of any of the song releases, and obviously we'll talk about it when the entire album is out.
And now I need some help from the maestro, please!
I came up to give me some. I'm nasty, I'm evil. Must be something in the water, or that I'm my mother's daughter.
So her last two releases, Miley Cyrus and her Dead Pets and Younger Now, well, neither really resonated with me. However, this one actually seems to stylistically be in between those two. So if she continues with this style, I'll actually be all for it.
Free spirits, can you hear me calling?
Sony is starting to give me a time with this album, so we'll see what happens with that.
DJ Khaled, you stick out of the crowd, baby, it's a no-brainer. It ain't that hard to choose, him or me, be for real, baby, it's a no-brainer.
I don't know what kind of parent DJ Khaled is in the privacy of his own home, but at this point, I have to imagine that Asahd is going to grow up just to be a little bit spoiled.
What do you know rest of me? Why do you care for me? When we all fall asleep, where do we go?
She's gonna be in Boston today. I know some of you in Boston. Go see this show. Denzel Curry's the opening act.
We didn't care where the days went. Had nowhere to go, Center Point Road. When everything was about a kiss.
There's a number of tracks on here, in fact, most of them that don't even sound like country, like rock, pop, even some gospel, R&B, and contemporary Christian, oddly enough, at least in my opinion. So if you're like hemming and hawing about country music, give this album a listen, see if you like it. A lot more music than last week, so go outside and enjoy the weather with all of this music, unless your allergies are as bad as mine, in which case stay inside, take some decongestants, and still listen to this music.
And now I need some help on the maestro, please. Maestro.